Oh God, run! Run, you fools! Oh God, I think I was kind of stuck last time I left Ace Attorney. Oh no. No, actually we weren't stuck. We got like a new cross-examination going and we went through all the things they said. But we didn't press. I forgot what voice I gave you. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, I stabbed the English woman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. This is... This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Hold it!
So you admit that you had murderous intention towards Miss Brett then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice, put the things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions then? Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That English woman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society.
Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay.
Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. The poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. That is not an English sentence. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? I know why, but I cannot prove it.
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that would be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces like these.
The accused administered the poison, following which this witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. The crime rests on the accused's shoulder. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows, you may even learn something here today.
Or maybe you will learn something today. A person was poisoned. Let's stab them as many times as we want. Seems legit. It's certainly not a crime, right? Two consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil, and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. Uh-huh. Dude. You're still trying to talk your way out of murder. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, I'd got to my goat.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. A student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson.
It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Shut up. A professor of medicine invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the English woman just cheered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
That's what you think, you silly man. It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. Oh?
I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tribe. Ray. Young girl, you stand accused here. You can just blurt out whatever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this is awful. But this awful man is making all of this up. Susie, please. You have to make them listen.
Return to the dock once more, Bambi-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request for the defense.
But, Your Excellency...
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So while recognizing... what just happened? So whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, and I notice that I'm still in the wrong category, my silly butt. Oops. French girl versus Japan. There we go. Good thing I noticed. So whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh. Merci beaucoup, Your Excellency.
It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. Can this game stop making this sentence? It was nothing. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. Like, where's the proofreading in this? We were discussing the stolen poison.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That is true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. No, it's not. We already know how it happened. That is true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited the laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Sasuke expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I am very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look at my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. Hyper.
Sure. There we go.
Are we the university? The military would be dragged into it, the whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Ah, yes. Minmo. Yes, Minmo-san. One small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly, you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of the Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Brett word by word.
Ugh.
Well, Minmo-san?
As a journal and as a citizen of the free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Minimi.
Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article and he based it on what he overheard from the outside the hut.
Article about the poison that was stolen from the laboratory. The reporter based it on the information he gleaned by eavesdropping.
So, that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, what you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend for your formal testimony. The point is, if you would poison someone, there would be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. Yes, there is. There is.
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make your victim, to make sure your victim would die.
That's horse dung!
What?
That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you would even tasted it. Completely reckless. Granted, he has a point there, but it has nothing to do with this. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. In other words, he basically just told us that he pushes up a story a little bit more action and facts, even if they are wrong.
Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. Yes, he wanted to frame her.
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut.
Yes, that's undeniable.
But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation.
Sorry? What change?
The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman.
Yeah, that's it. That's when Minmo first found the exact nature of the poison he'd used. That could be the key here.
Could it? If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. No.
But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder.
If he could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for.
Yes, I agree. In order to do that, I must try to glean some more information.
In order to that, it's basically this. Like, it's basically not that, but why did it go to the other thing? You know, I'm really irritated by the fact we have this reagent which we need to use on the fountain pen to prove that the poison was in the pen. And we also need to prove that he stabbed her so he could frame her. What if I just present this? But before I do, let me make a save here. Oh yes, I stabbed the English woman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. But I don't care. I just do it. Okay, it was wrong. Okay, let's press. Okay, this is the same text. Okay, nothing there. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? So I'm going to literally... Oh, I cannot actually... No, actually I can present. I mean, at this point it could be this. Or it could be this.
Objection!
I'm just trying things out here. Because this game is so good at giving me like no actual logical clue to... This is confusing. Let's... What did I present? I presented the photo first, right?
Objection!
There we go. Ha! Well, I can think of one reason. What? Nani? But before I explain, I would like to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. And there is one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Bambi-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Bread's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Min-mo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Bread couldn't have imbibed imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Bambi-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press his bread about the poison. At which point, Minmo-san English. At which point, Minmo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in this newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils, yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are no other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the numbers of suspects to only a handful of people.
Or everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Bambi-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, Raiten Minmo. It was you who stole the poison from the lab that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. English. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach's hut, thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison. At that point, it was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the read screen.
Objection!
But what good would that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected.
This is extra common.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order, order, order. The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
There are a number of... I mean, yes, I count it completely.
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much of the same way as he nurtures the remnants of this top knot, he is clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope?
What is going on? Everybody's screaming in this court like... Oh, he comes up with another bullshit.
Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai. Fallen? You are calling me fallen? I don't need a counter-argument.
What are you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence?
I do have evidence. Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I don't even understand what I'm doing here. Who are you people?
I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted.
That's what the show you news is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxic being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if the thief managed to blah blah blah.
How's that then? Blown the story wide open?
See? I, Raiten Minmo, a mere reporter from the Shoyu News, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory.
No!
But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the lab that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin?
My point is this: there's no way that you, Minmo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I've heard enough verbal conjecture. Now, thank you. What the court must show is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? Did I read something like that she said that he didn't steal it?
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
Ugh. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant?
These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
Bah, I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Oh, he's so wrong. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up. What? Soup corn? Suck up a soup corn of sumptuous ink, and one's work is away with words in the blink of an eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a smaller reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with it later.
What does all this talking of sucking up ink have?
And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
My word, can this really be?
Well, Minmo-san,
When
when you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib into the pen's reservoir.
No! Now he's countering this with, you need proof.
More absurdity. That never happened. Because I said it.
True, we've heard that there were some procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the lab. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for the fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Minmo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down the details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison was filled its reservoir. The pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? Here it comes. So this is how your modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game, have plenty in reserve. Yeah! You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? What? That's a wild speculation, nothing more. I thought you were... What? If you thought you could bring me down, a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. No such evidence could possibly exist.
Objection!
Minmo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Remember this, because we're going to take your head tomorrow. So don't remember, it's all for naught. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison.
Finally!
Take that!
Counsel, what is this bottle?
This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Ah! Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
A reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Minmo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt.
No, you can't. I won't.
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once.
Yeah! Oh my god, the camera! This isn't my fault, the Empire drove me to do this, trying to hold this head by civilization. I took arm the arms and fought possibly all in the name of justice. Mini-me.
Susie, with me! I'm there.
Hiya! They literally just killed him.
I did it. Did I do it right? That was a Susie takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. And therefore I claim I am insane, and therefore you cannot bring justice upon me. Easy loophole. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen.
Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Minma. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass on.
Then why did the English woman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter. I know a known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it.
And she just laughed in my face.
Oh, what's this?
A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian.
What did you call me?
This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. See, our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered. About the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible. But I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit getting all fired up.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yes.
You often talk about justice. But you surely, as a journalist, could have used other means to deliver justice you sought.
There's no justice in the press.
Sorry?
After the trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was.
Cover up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful what you say next. Oh God, it's a government conspiracy. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet, that puffed up English woman, was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What sort of deal?
I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they are going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have to see that justice is done myself?
Let's not forget, Minmo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Jezebel bread.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I suppose. But there's a deal going on, and something is going on, and that is actually interesting. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo-san. Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one. Just like a circus act. Yeah, but here's the positive thing. It's still a circus act, but I have to give it. This is the first case in the second game. Look how faster we got through this first case. We would still be like 3 hours away from the end in the first game. But it's still a circus, like you said. Gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That is very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel almost keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Archie, do you have any final thoughts? Oh no. Oh no. Is he seriously considering to cut off a finger?
Prosecutor Ouchie.
I, Taketsuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth, not once, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Ouchieism.
Ouchieism?
One hopes that's the only way in which he will be modeling himself after the witness.
Sprig of my top knot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi.
So dramatic. Bold. Pretty bold of him. Very deserved. True. Now, in regard to the defendant, Ray Bambi-san.
Oui, Your Excellency.
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you
Not guilty.
Yay! Hey, at least it's not fireworks inside of a building. Court is adjourned.
It's over. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do, just stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san?
Susie, Susie.
Merci beaucoup. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. He was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I cannot take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderful, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susie, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We are friends, equals, and the trial is over, so no more of this formal superhuman humility nonsense. It is time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow.
What?
Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we are really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else who would throw, else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness, of course not. Of course not. There it is at last, Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, It's time to bid farewell to Ryu, I think. Shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susie now. So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame.
What? What is happening?
Ah, Sasuke and Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope, but it's me. Susie.
I don't. So dashing, so divine. No. Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Miss Susie, Esquire, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san's Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding ace attorney. He dropped the name of the game.
Poor Sasuke, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London.
They said the thing.
What an extra common conundrum it was. It was that. Can I English? It was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Sasuke was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself a great fame as an author.
I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even if I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope.
Me too.
Oh, I'm not a patch on your...
What?
I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Nobody says that. Well, I'm a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do.
Is it maybe the blood?
9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant.
Hello there, Ebitsun. How are you doing?
And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey.
Slightly showing like the deaf.
Though, that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama?
I'm well. How are you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all of this. I mean, how the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the English woman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we will probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had the most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remembered Mr. Sholmes well, of course.
Ah, my arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. Nanny? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because of an urgent telegram that had arrived from Japan on my cell phone. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. Nani? Where did the news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susie? I'm sorry, my dear. Let me go! Why is he still alive? Didn't we just cut off his head instantly after the verdict in the courtroom? I mean, I would do that. I mean, he has some interesting information that he hasn't shared. But he has certainly written it down in that book, which he will now hand over to me.
Minmo-san. So, one throw wasn't enough for you.
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had your hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Jezebel Brett? No, not her. The student of law who left the Great Britain 8 months ago.
What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-san. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Oh! Even the judge is involved in this. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. Oh God, he's a kung fu master. What were your officers playing at? Terrible sorry, sir. Your Excellency, I mean, oh! I hate this guy. What is going on? So the judge knows it, our father knows it, we don't know it, the reporter knows it, and it has something to do with Kazuma. Strange. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not your excellency anymore, merely your father's friend, Seishiro Chigoku. Seishiro Chigoku. Oh no. I don't know if Seishiro has a meaning. Shiro would mean black or dark. Sei. I'm not sure what Sei is standing for. I wonder. His last name, by the way, Chikoku, means hell. I wonder if I can find it out. Now? Doesn't matter. Actually, it does. And now Japanese. Se. But what does se stand for? It doesn't mean anything. That's disappointing. So, his literal name is Se. Se, dark hell. Or black hell. Shiro, wasn't Shiro dark? Shiro would be dark, right? Or white. No, it should be dark. Why is it not translating it? Never mind, but his last name is definitely Hell. And I may say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susie?
Did you know all along from the start of the trial? What gave it away? Was it my voice?
The judge sees everything, Susie. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here had known, and then he would recognize you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. This is very convenient for me, so I don't have to talk to you. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
What did you think of Seishiro's sling, huh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. No. I mean, I like the judge now a little bit more because you actually see him out of the court, but that doesn't mean that he's like innocent in the future.
Whatever could father be hiding from me? About Jezebel Bread, about Dr. Wilson. And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with father sometime. But I don't want to see you ever again, Susie. When nobody else is around.
Judy Assistant Mikotoba-san is virus. Could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Sasuke. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we are meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it might be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear.
Perhaps,
Please, Sasuke, tell me at once.
I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me, and I'm not going to tell you about that particular part because that would tell you things. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then, that particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But I do remember. But do you remember them? Those terrible cases I was caught up in.
Of course, I could never forget.
Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one, you mean? The one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what the dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case, the case of the haunted lodgings.
That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought the whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
Cliffhanger. How dare they? A giant life-sized
The mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness.
bonsai.
And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san.
Voice
But
acting.
Actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Sosek-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My
Where-
notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again.
And find Atlantis.
Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Susato. Susie.
Runo and Susie. Oh my god, we have reached the end. Thank you. That is the end of the second game and therefore for the entire series. Yay! I'm lying. Sadly, I'm lying. The memoirs of the clouded Kokoro. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. The clouded Kokoro. This is a good ending point. We have finished the first case in the second game and now have seen what crazy insanity is awaiting us otherwise.